I make a warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Myself is Prashant Das, and I'm a consulting editor for CSR Times.
Ji.
And as I told you, being a music enthusiast myself, I find it an absolute privilege to talk to you, Durgaji. So
And
please tell us a bit about this Jasraj Foundation, and how does your foundation plan to carry forward the legacy of Pandit Jasraj Ji?
Uh, to tell you a bit about Pandit Jasraj Cultural Foundation itself is a very tough task because the name itself is like one big ocean or
Absolutely.
beyond. But to actually talk about Pandit Jasraj Cultural Foundation is all about trying to put everything together that one has heard from Bapuji, that is my father and Guru Sangeet Martan Pandit Jasraj Ji, in all my growing up years, and how he actually looked at music and how he always was so forthcoming, appreciative of all different genres of music. He had a very different take on everything, and he was very progressive. He also believed in technology a lot. He always tried to adapt as much as he could till the very, very end, if I may say. But I think his music and everything lives on. He was always with times moved ahead, used technology to reach out to more and more people across the world. He never looked. He was never the kind who said, "Ki technology is not here to help us or is creating hindrance from the purity." He, in fact, felt that it was the biggest amplifier. If you have to talk about technology, he said first is the mic. Can any musician do without a mic? That is also technology, and that has helped us to reach out from just a 30 people or a 50 people audience to more than 10,000 people at one go in an auditorium or a performing area. And so he believed in everything. He used all kinds of mediums, such as Skype, WhatsApp, video calls, to FaceTimes and everything, to teach music as well, which was unprecedented. And to even have like Zoom sessions with group musicians when he was during lockdown times, when he was in the United States, because all the concerts got cancelled indefinitely. So he used that time to quickly reach out to all his students and all be connected to rest of the world. So he believed, he was very much people's person. And when you actually are born to some such a great once in a I would call him a yug purush,
Yes.
and he being what he was. Of course, me and Neeraj have been running our own company, Art and Artist, for last 23 years. And it was time for us to form this foundation, because here the intentions are extremely noble. They are keeping in pace with the CSR. I would say I would say the pointers, and culture and music, we felt were, though few people have been doing it, but it's a neglected part, where India actually is so rich. I think it's the richest in terms of music in across the world, across the globe. And it was time enough for us to, since we were working in that same space, to have different ways of communicating to people and bring their attention to this very, very precious, important, critical aspect of this country. And we always keep talking about the Vedas, and we keep talking about Upanishads, we keep talking about, oh, how India is so rich about diverse music that exists in every different part of India, which is folk music. But we are the only country who also has two different traditions of classical music, be it Hindustani and Carnatic. No other country on this globe has two different classical traditions. And in fact, our classical traditions have been started by some unknown, or it is also mentioned in the Vedas, which is that is how back in time it has started. We believe that sound started from Om, and Om se nikle hai Ved, and Ved se nikla hai classical music, and so on and so forth. So while the Western music is credited to the composers such as Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, and many great composers, but it here we have divine interventions. We have many ways of believing, and also there are the mentions in the Vedas are such that actually it forces us to believe that it's the supreme Lord or supreme God who has actually sent out his or her own musical interpretations to us, which has been followed and carried forward through generations, through Guru Shishya Parampara. So this is, I mean, it's very difficult for me to say it in a nutshell because subject is so wide, and it is there are so many things to be done, and we felt the need is now because in the not because of the only the what has happened in last 2.5 years during these COVID times, and music has suffered and musicians have suffered the maximum because of no avenues of earnings, and which has happened to many other people from all different walks of life. But this time it was time enough for us to actually formulate, make a foundation, and to put everything together on a platform wherein it will help us to move forward with all different genres of music, with all different generations of musicians. So we've tried to think through, we've tried to detail out many of the aspects.
From a global perspective, how will this foundation going to take the cultural heritage of music of India forward?
Our traditional music sector is very disorganized overall. It does not have one single system of functioning or a commonality of operation across the country, and therefore it operates in different parts in not so much in consonance with each other. So there is a tremendous opportunity to build some kind of a common platform, to build an ecosystem which will enable this entire sector to kind of develop faster than it already has. There is a great number of institutions that exist in this space already by way of trusts or not-for-profit bodies. We felt that there is a need to actually collaborate rather than to just set up another institution. There needs to be some common glue binding all of these institutions that have already done some work. The role that government plays in the sector is very, very critical. And there are a lot of initiatives that happen at the government level, but may not be that well publicized or that well placed before the general public. Hence, there is a common impression or perception that there is not much being done there. But we found that because of our many years of working in this space, there are a lot of institutions, bodies, government as well as non-government, which exist, and we need to kind of find one way of working together. So technology is the most democratic tool that we have to actually enable this coming together or binding together. So we felt that the foundation needs to be really aligned around. We can have 10 different programs, but technology needs to play a role which will enable the various players in this space who are already existing and new who wish to come up in this space to actually become a wonderful global village of Indian traditional music or Indian traditional culture, Indian traditional heritage. And as you know very well, that our culture and heritage is one of the most admired, or people are very curious about Indian heritage and culture internationally, globally. There is language has never been a barrier for that, and we felt that taking these programs to places across the world would play the role of a great accelerator in this entire space, because innovation, technology, engineering are all concepts which need to actually get applied in this whole space of culture and heritage. And
Wonderful.
that's what we thought the foundation would play a very interesting role, a very dynamic role in making that happen.
I play flute a little bit, so I have very vast respect for musical instruments actually. And you see many classical instruments such as sarangi, shehnai, veena, surbahar, they are becoming obsolete day by day. So will the foundation work towards revival of such classical instruments? If yes, how?
No, absolutely. In fact, one of the, I would say, the programs at inception, one of the programs we've been developing the longest in the foundation is with regards to instrument makers, traditional instrument makers. जैसे आपने अभी कहा कि this space is not very healthy. We found that there are 2 or 3 key issues facing this particular space in the overall sector. One is that these instrument makers are even smaller than cottage industries in terms of their scale. Um, they don't have any, they don't run a business. They're doing this as their art, as their traditional skill set, which has come down to them through ages. But in today's day and age, it is extremely difficult not to understand taxation and run a business. You cannot do that. It's very difficult not to understand logistics and run a business. It's very difficult not to understand digital marketing and run a business. But they face these 3 very critical issues. So they you can't expect them ki, no, why don't you do a course and you'll know this, and then you can do a very good job of it. That's not the way to expect them to flourish. But what can definitely happen is that we as a foundation, we go to them and look at their key issue of sustainable livelihoods, because they may be having orders which coming from abroad for their instruments which they are making, but they are few in number. This art needs to be passed on through generations, and for that there needs to be a sustainable livelihood model for the next generation in their family to take it up. So apart from building what the common word nowadays is a marketplace, wherein we will provide the entire marketplace structure online, like a portal, which will enable us to do proper digital marketing and advertising of such instruments, the various types available, the rare instruments, the instruments for which children can play for fun and enjoy, and all of that. Apart from doing that, we want to provide a sustainable livelihood program for these instrument makers who are very skilled, and for which we will be tying up with various government bodies, like for example All India Radio, which is spread across the country and has numerous instruments at their stations. Similarly, universities, colleges have many who offer music as a course, have many instruments in their campus. But unfortunately, the condition of the instruments, due to lack of proper and technical maintenance, is not very good. So typically what happens is, you have bought the instrument, and after a few months or years, if the instrument has not been maintained properly, it doesn't function properly, and then what happens is it is discarded and a new one is bought. So what we intend to do is to introduce this program, wherein there will be a proper structured schedule of maintenance, wherein these instrument makers will get their slots to go to these places and maintain those instruments for a regular fee, just like how you would service your air conditioner, for example. There's an annual maintenance contract which happens. So this would enable a significant line of income for these instrument makers, because otherwise they are just making instruments through the year. This is the second kind of activity which they can undertake. The entire scheduling, the management of this will be done by us. The institutions who are unable to have budgets for this, because some of them are government bodies, so if they don't get sanctioned budgets, they can't do much about it. We as a foundation will step in and subsidize those costs, so that the instrument maker is getting the fixed, the decided fixed maintenance charges or fees. So it becomes a proper systemized arrangement, which enables them to actually service a lot of instruments, and therefore maintain a sustainable livelihood.
Also, adding to this, what you said about reviving the instruments, I really feel that if the instrument is in good shape, is when you actually, youngsters can start playing with it. Playing in the sense literally khelna, not really playing. But it's when you actually find an instrument just lying around, but it's in good pristine condition, the sound starts attracting you, knowingly or unknowingly. But if the instrument is not in good shape, nervous system is so aligned with the universe to actually understand what is a good sound, which is music, and what is not such a good sound, which is noise. So if you are able to achieve that to an extent that we hope that we can, it will automatically start attracting the next generation. It will automatically pull the next generation to start playing it. So this is the idea. And as you know, that the instrument maker, it's not about the one who makes the sarod will also make the sarangi and also make the tabla and also make the sitar or tanpura. Everything is a very specialized job. So we are really hoping that this program will open doors to instrument makers. It will, for their livelihood and sustainability, and it will open minds of the next generation to take it up as their own. Hoping that it will translate their hobby into a passion, into a profession, and so on and so forth.
I was also saying that instruments like sarangi, which has almost gone away.
But
I
Shehnai,
was
you
referring
will
to
be
Shehnai. Yes.
surprised. You will be surprised that the next generation, there are amazing players. It's also media has a role to play, that they have
Absolutely.
not highlighted the next generation. There is Lokesh Anand from Delhi, who's an
Yes.
amazing player, who's also my father's student now for last 10, 15 years.
Wonderful.
There are three, four amazing Shehnai players. Everything, it's an ecosystem we need to create. There are good
Yes.
talent, they need stage, and then once they get into a performing and public light, then when they need media. So we have such plethora of talent that we have identified, who are good enough, really good enough to take their instruments, our traditional music, to the next generation. But we need to present them properly. Some of them need to get trained properly. Some of them need to kind of give their knowledge and their experience, share their experience and knowledge. Otherwise, it is not fair that they just hold on to their knowledge and experiences without sharing it with the next generation. So there are many things that we want to unfold and open people's minds to.
Our next question, which I would like to ask, that somehow we see the focus towards arts and culture take a backseat in comparison to other causes where corporates are more willing to contribute. So tell us about the foundation's vision or plan to seek their attentions towards it.
So it's a very, very pertinent question that you have raised. And if anybody who has got basic knowledge of data analysis goes through last 5 years of CSR spends and does a percentage allocation by sector, arts and culture will come out right at the bottom,
Absolutely.
except for 1 or 2 years where the funds towards the statue building and all of that happened. Because of that, the number looked very large, but that was one project done at a national level. So I think the biggest issue facing this is, first we have to look inwards as a sector, because when as a sector you go to a corporate, the corporate is looking at all of this from a accounts and finance perspective. So the corporate needs submissions. The corporates need proposals which are laid out in very, very specific terms. What is the measurable output of this support to this particular arts and cultural initiative? If that is not clearly defined, it becomes a little difficult for the corporates to actually sanction those budgets and sanction that support. It is extremely important for art and culture organizations to understand this and to implement this. Because if at the start you make the wrong step, you're not going to be able to go any further at all. So I think from our perspective, what we are going to be doing is, every program has a very specific defined a set of scope and a set of outcomes which are measurable and time bound. So that brings a lot of transparency, of course, but also ease of compliance, ease of governance when it comes to examining and assessing these programs from a corporate spend perspective, and to then at the end of the program realize what was the benefit, because CSR is all about the impact, measurable and demonstrable impact. So I think if we are able to translate our plans into very specific objective units which we submit to corporates, corporates will definitely start welcoming this as an alternative.
Okay, thank you for this answer, Neeraj. Now, I would like to now ask, uh, how can the budding artists, whether they are vocalists or instrumentalists, can approach this foundation?
The best way to begin with is to first register on the website www.panditjasrajcf.org, and depending on their level of their talent and exposure, we are not restricting it to any age group. Some of the talents we feel are good enough to even teach. This was going to be a marketplace as well, and where people can actually go and find their gurus, because me being extremely active on social media and things like that, I am kind of snowed down with the kind of requests that people just keep writing, that where can I learn tabla. My daughter needs to learn Hindustani classical music. My son is interested in Carnatic violin. Or where does one go to learn baul music? So, be it any genre of music, there are people and plenty who want to learn, but geographically, sometimes they are bound, because sometimes they get shifted out of their city, and they land up in another part of the world, and they don't know where to go for a guru. So, this is first of all going to hopefully blur the geographical distances. You can actually go, and we will be listing out quality musicians for particular genre. Every teacher cannot, somebody who's good at Hindustani classical vocal is not going to be qualified enough to teach tabla, or somebody who's really good at teaching a sitar is not good enough to teach a ghazal. So we will be really putting their specialized works in front of you. You can choose your own teacher. So if as a musician, first of all, if you want to be a student, or you want to just get introduced to the subject as well, there'll be gradations to the courses. So basically there'll be introduction to the course. They will be so that people get interested, people get smitten to this genre of music, feel attracted towards it, find it cool enough, and then their journey can start. And if not anything, whether they become professional musicians, they'll at least start to appreciate music. They will at least for sure take pride in our culture and our rich heritage that we have inherited for millions of years. So far as a company, we have worked with more than 35,000 musicians across this country in 250 different genres of music. So we will be able to identify that we have a strong team who identifies these talent, and for sure the first step they need to take now is to register themselves and also express their interests, whether they want to learn, whether they want to teach, or whether they want to be identified as the next generation of rising stars who need a platform. So there are going to be various layers of musicians, because everybody cannot be a very successful performer. Therefore, finding them livelihood through music is also going to be a process, a stage where we feel that people who are connected to music should find their livelihoods through music as well. So we really hope that music, and especially traditional genres of music, find these kind of interconnection and also layers of professionals coming up to help this industry uplift. Also, there'll be experts who will help the transition from a student to somebody who's capable to become a performing artist. We hope to make those bridges, help them become better professional and performing artists, because now we have opened up to the global talent who are interested in Indian music and traditional Indian genres of Indian music.
Just to wrap up this session, my final question is going to be, what is your message or appeal to the government or the corporate houses who should come forward and help your foundation?
So, with regards to the corporates, I think it's very straightforward. There are a lot of options that corporates have with regards to CSR. This is going to be in the next 3 years going to touch a double-digit share of the overall spend for them, because, and that's the conviction we have. So the amount of clarity with which these submissions need to be given to them will be very much there. So currently, from the lower, 2%, 1% or something like that, or less than that also, it will definitely touch the double-digit share of their CSR spend. That is one thing we are pretty. That's our target. That's our goal that we have set for ourselves. With regards to government, I think the government is in the space of culture and heritage. The government is doing a lot. And there are various bodies working on a monthly, annual basis, doing a lot of things. There may be the need for us to act as a support in some way to the many initiatives. So everything cannot be done by one person. We need to actually reach out and involve these various bodies. It's a very wide web of different kind of institutions that the government has set up to look at different aspects. Like, for example, under culture, there is something like a museum, something like a dance academy. So there are so many different kinds of institutions. So we probably will need to play the role of a supporting institution to enable certain collaborations to come into place and to take forward the schemes that the government has already devised but maybe not implemented in a complete, very wide fashion, for us to actually go out there and be a volunteer to be those implementation arm that the government may need.
Every country is known for their culture. That is its first identity. And India, for that matter, is very strong on culture. And it is time that we recognize the importance of it. Every that gives us our own distinct identity. Today, I'm known as Durga. Okay, at home, when I step out, I'm Durga Jasraj. When I leave my country, I'm known as Indian. So therefore, your identity is what you are. Nobody is born a global citizen. You make your footprint to become a global citizen, but that footprint should have India, at the helm. I mean, it should be a matter of pride and how you contribute. Today, Indians have contributed in all sectors, be it medical, of the fraternity, or the IT sector, or even there are so many people working in NASA. And things, I mean, so on and so forth. And even yoga, for that matter, is global phenomenon. So is Indian culture and Indian music. It just needs to be recognized. By not recognizing it, you're being ignorant. And something that can actually give you pride. It's as brilliant, and when you see a Neeraj Chopra winning a gold medal, it's exactly every artist who performs on a global stage is actually carrying that tricolor on their chest, and they're in their minds, because for that the 3.5 hours or 4 hours of music or performance that they actually do it for the global stage, is when everybody is just completely into that music and wanting to come to India. It helps tourism, it helps the culture, and they're not bothered about the fact that they're only catering to Indians abroad or across the world or even in India. So what I really want to say, it is time to take pride, and it is, of course, the government and the corporates, but for us, even a person who is could be in some like I have always heard in all India radio, Jhumri Talaiya, somebody who wants to connect and wants to feel, oh, my grandmother played harmonium and she sang bhajans in early morning. They want to connect. We are open to each and everybody in their own ways. We want to connect to each and everybody on this globe. They could belong to any nationality, but feel connected to the spirituality of this music, or for the entertainment side of this music, or just because it will make you better human beings. It helps you to, it's our music is the best stress buster in this on this planet earth, believe me. Rest of the music will make you enthusiastic, excitable for that much time, and then drain you out physically and get you, hopefully not get you into the lows. But our music elevates your soul and actually calms your mind, and I think that is it's a healer, and that is what the globe needs right now. And it is embedded in our nervous system, it's embedded in our culture. I think we just need to realize and to emphasize on the strengths of it, or on the magic and the miracle and the divinity of it, and soak into it and take pride in it. We are extremely grateful to Honorable Prime Minister of our country, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who actually graciously agreed to launch it. And because of the compulsions of the lockdown and everything, he actually, because of the noble cause of it, and because it needed the attention at the he very graciously agreed to launch this on my Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So truly grateful for to him for blessing us on 28th of January. That is happens to be Bapuji's 92nd birth anniversary. So truly grateful for that.
Absolutely. Wonderfully explained, Durgaji. And I wish you all the very best to your foundation, taking it forward with a very noble cause to promote in Indian classical music. And I wish you very best. And I hope that we will be able to communicate to the concerned corporates and the government who can come forward and help this foundation with their CSR funding, CSR funds also.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, and have a good
Thank
day.
you so much. Lovely talking to
Very
you.
nice to meet you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Bye bye.